Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches, the best way to experience Florida. Proudly produced in partnership with the Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission.
Deep in the heart of Florida lies one of the last wild rivers, an untamed waterway where history, mystery, and adventure collide. Welcome to the Loxahatchee River. On this episode of Wild Palm Beaches, we're embarking on an unforgettable journey, kayaking from the river's source all the way to the ocean, from black water to blue water. This truly is the Wild Palm Beaches.
As one of the largest counties east of the Mississippi, we have lots of room to explore the wild animal encounters that are seemingly endless in the Palm Beaches. Ever wished you could swim with dolphins or get up close to a manatee? In the Palm Beaches, you can. From the Florida Everglades and the Loxahatchee River to the Intracoastal Waterway and the Atlantic Ocean, take a walk on the wild side and discover the great outdoors in a tropical paradise. Join me, James Currie, as we discover the Wild Palm Beaches. The Loxahatchee River is one of Florida's most mysterious and historically rich waterways. Its name comes from the Seminole word lauchau, meaning turtle, and hatchee, meaning river. So it literally translates to River of Turtles. But beyond the name, the river is full of fascinating lore, legends, and untamed history.
Our adventure begins right here at Riverbend Park, the headwaters of the Loxahatchee River. This river flows 8 miles all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, winding through cypress swamps, estuaries, and mangroves. Let's meet up with Benji and the crew, and let's get paddling.
What's up, everybody? I'm Benji Studt from Palm Beach County's Environmental Resources. Today, I am so excited. This is my favorite adventure in the Palm Beaches. I've got a whole group of friends with me today, and today we are going from source to sea. Only in the Palm Beaches can you go from the black water of the wild and scenic Loxahatchee River all the way to the blue water right at the Jupiter Lighthouse, where these Gulf Stream waters come in and flood the inlet with this beautiful crystal clear water. We're gonna explore it all today, and I can't wait to show you guys what makes the Palm Beaches so special. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Let's go. So now I told you guys we're on the wild and scenic Loxahatchee. This is one of only 2 wild and scenic rivers in the state of Florida, right here in Jupiter and the Palm Beaches. One of the reasons that I love this place is because there is so much history in the land here. Today we're gonna paddle past these cypress trees that are gonna look like a dinosaur is gonna come out from behind them, hundreds and hundreds of years old. We're gonna pass one of the pioneer homesteads of Trapper Nelson. He's kind of one of these famous characters of the Loxahatchee, and we'll tell you all about him. And then of course there's thousands of years of Native American history on this river as well. It is incredibly prehistoric, just a couple minutes down from the launch at Jupiter Outdoor Center, and you feel like you have traveled back in time. I cannot wait to share this adventure with you guys. All right, so we're only about 5 minutes from the launch, and we've hit the first dam of 2 here in the river that we have to portage over. And right now, I love this time of year. We're doing this adventure in the late spring, so water levels are super low. We're at the height of the dry season, but that means that all of the wildlife is packed in, because in the wet season, the river comes up and it floods the banks and expands in this really, really wide area. Right now, all of these water-loving critters, all of the alligators, which we just saw. Maybe we'll see some manatees, otters, and there are so many freshwater turtles here in the Loxahatchee, and they're all packed into this one little area. So I love this time of year. We're gonna head over this first portage, and this is where the river gets really wild. So I don't know if you guys heard that, but we just had a couple of red-shouldered hawks cruise right over us. We're underneath this cypress canopy, and these trees are 100 feet tall. So even when it's a little warm out, the paddle here on the river is really, really comfortable. And you know, I mentioned water levels are crazy low right now. You can see the stain lines on the cypress knees behind me. So water's about 3 feet lower than it would be in the wet season. We're seeing gar and blue crabs and mullet and all kinds of fish and turtles. We've got red-shouldered hawks. I'm still looking for my first owl. I usually can see an owl if I look close enough. The barred owls will hang out here. They're super secretive, but this place is just so alive. Everywhere you look, if you look close enough, there's little dramas going on. So rad. Only in the wild Palm Beaches.
Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches, the best way to experience Florida. Proudly produced in partnership with the Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission. Kayaking the Loxahatchee River from its source to sea is a unique and adventurous way to explore one of Florida's most scenic waterways. The Loxahatchee River is known for its winding waters through cypress swamps, wildlife-rich environments, and just serene beauty. The shaded canopy of towering cypress trees creates a tranquil environment, and as the river meanders, paddlers encounter wildlife like manatees, alligators, turtles, and tons of bird species.
This part of the river is where the magic happens. The towering cypress trees, the quiet flow of the water. It's like paddling back in time.
This journey offers a rare chance to connect with nature while enjoying an adventurous day on the water.
Woo! Kayaking from source to sea isn't just about adventure. It's a way to connect with nature, learn about the past, and appreciate the diverse ecosystems that make the Palm Beaches so special.
Oh man, so we made it. All right, so we've made it to Trapper Nelson's, and this is a historic site within Jonathan Dickinson State Park. That trip was amazing, but a little bit about trappers. There's a reason why this site was preserved by the park when it became a state park, and that's because without this man, who was known as the Tarzan of the Loxahatchee, Jonathan Dickinson State Park would not exist. So this guy, he came down with his brother from New Jersey in the mid-30s, and he was riding the rails as a hobo, and they came across the railroad bridge over the Loxahatchee River and saw this beautiful turquoise blue water coming in underneath them, and they said, okay, this is the place, and they jumped off. And you know, through time and decades, Trapper came here, he made his home here, right on the banks of the Loxahatchee River. He ran a zoo and brought fancy ladies up who visited Palm Beach to his safari zoo here, where he would keep animals that he trapped, Florida panthers and bobcats and alligators and otters. But after he passed, you know, the legacy that he left was the preservation of a big stretch of what is now this wild and scenic river. So thanks to Trapper Nelson, we get to enjoy this place of the Wild Palm Beaches still today. And that's also not discounting, of course, the thousands of years of Native American history all up and down the banks of this amazing river. In fact, the river got its name from the Seminole word Loxahatchee, which means river of turtles.
Every time I go down this river, no matter how many times, I think I started going down this river when I was like 6 or 7, and no matter what, every single time is different. Every time based on water levels, what animals we're seeing, what kind of other creatures and people you might come across. The water levels were the lowest I have ever seen them coming down here, and it made it such an epic journey. Truly, the way that some of the cypress knees became almost like canyons coming through them, as well as just the portaging, even though it can be a little exhausting to lift this kayak up and down, it creates its own little adventure. We saw alligators, we saw tons of different birds and things. It was absolute magic.
Super fun. Go get your arm workout, your back workout in, all of the workout.
So the portaging for me was, I think, the wildest part. I've never seen this river so low. I've also not seen it very high, but the amount of times that we had to get out of the boat and make our way across, and the teamwork too, was really cool. And then additionally, all the fish. I've never seen the water so clear to where I could see the fish just paddling along. The gar were so beautiful. I always say that Florida is the gift that keeps on giving, because every time I come out, whether it's in the glades or in the ocean, I'm always seeing something new. So it's always a very heartful experience. So this is another one where I'm leaving today and my heart's very full. Really great adventure for sure.
Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches, the best way to experience Florida. Proudly produced in partnership with the Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission. The Loxahatchee is more than a river. It's a journey into Florida's untamed past and unpredictable present. And if you listen closely, it still has stories to tell.
All right, so we have got picked up by the Jupiter Outdoor Center crew. We're on the Love Street Outdoor pontoon boat here. It feels so good, wind in the face. But this is where, in this part of the river, we transition from a freshwater habitat that's dominated by cypress trees, and you can see some of the palms behind me and other species like pond apple, into a mangrove habitat, which is more representative of an estuary habitat where salt water is starting to come in. So mangroves, a misconception is they don't need salt to survive. They're just really poor competitors with some of these freshwater species like cypress trees and some of the other freshwater swamp trees. But what you can see behind us is we have cypress trees that have died off. And some of these palm trees that are behind us, you can see the fronds are really, really small and they're yellowing. And that is because they're being stressed by salt water. So two things are happening with the Loxahatchee. We talked about how it's starved for freshwater flows in the dry season because of development that has surrounded it. And then also we have sea level rise to contend with, and that is pushing this saltwater lens further and further upriver. And so it's bringing this mangrove habitat further and further upriver. Now, the really cool thing about the restoration that we've done in the Palm Beaches, within all of the natural areas and public land that make the Palm Beaches so special, is we've started to restore that freshwater flow so that hopefully we can stabilize this creep of this mangrove habitat upriver into this freshwater habitat. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but the river is responding, and that's the really beautiful thing about restoration, is if we just give nature a chance, it's unbelievable how resilient these habitats are. All right, so we've made it out of Jonathan Dickinson State Park, through Tequesta, down the Loxahatchee River a few miles. And back in the park and in the river, you could see the water was this brownish color, and that was the tannins that stay in the water. It was still pretty clear. and it's moving into this green right now over the last few miles, and right here is where we hit blue water. This looks like the pictures that you see of the Bahamas, but it is right here in the Palm Beaches. This is what makes this place so special. We literally just came over the color change. I can see top to bottom here, everything that we're passing. I mean, this is just unbelievable. This is why I have called Jupiter in the Palm Beaches my home for over 2 decades. It is why all kinds of folks come to visit. It is to see this incredible, incredible water that is right here around the Jupiter Lighthouse and the Loxahatchee River.
When I started my company at 23 years old, I would tell anybody that listened, by the time I'm 40, I want to do something else with my life. And oftentimes we would deal with visitors, and they would ask me, what do you do around here besides play golf and go to the beach? And I'd tell them about all the fun I was having on the Loxahatchee River, and the idea popped. Why not an outdoor center in Jupiter? We don't have mountains or whitewater, but we've got blue water. And we got so many beautiful natural areas. Why not create an outdoor center to connect people with nature? We hear Jurassic Park-like. We hear, I didn't know this existed. There's so much beyond the beach in Palm Beach County and Jupiter. They get the distinction of ecosystems, starting in the cypress swamp with alligators and ending up in a mangrove estuary with manatees. It blows their mind. I see their way of being once they return from the wild. They're different. They're different. They're relaxed. They're stress-free. They're happy. And that just floats our boat.
It's just been an amazing day, once again, getting wild in the Palm Beaches.
A dream.
Wild Palm Beaches is brought to you by Discover the Palm Beaches, the best way to experience Florida. Proudly produced in partnership with the Palm Beach County Film and Television Commission.
Hey guys, it's Kylie with Palm Beach County, and we are in Seacrest Scrub Natural Area. While this site might seem really small and not very exciting, it is actually packed full of an imperiled species known as the gopher tortoise. We have one right here. Wow, he's so small. Gopher tortoises are an imperiled species due to habitat loss. All across the state of Florida, coastal scrub and other scrub habitats are diminishing by the minute due to development. Places like Seacrest Scrub are so important for these guys to have a home. This site is full of pines. It's completely aromatic. Your senses are filled between the sand pines and the slash pines. Scrub habitat makes the perfect place for migratory birds. All this thicket of shrubbery makes a perfect place to hide and to find food. Do you hear the birds? The scrub here is part of an ancient system eroded from the Appalachian Mountains. Everything here has to fight to survive with special adaptations due to the lack of nutrients and the well-draining sediments. These small urban natural areas are a big part of the wild Palm Beaches.
Hi, I'm Victoria Monell, and this is The Art of Nature. I'm an artist. I love to paint surrealism type work. I work with a lot of mixed media materials, spray paints, acrylic paints, metallics, molding paste, all types of material that I love to bring into my work. I love to paint work inspired by nature and aquatic life. Nature brings me a lot of peace, and I feel like when I'm around that type of environment, whether it's the ocean or hiking or any type of outdoor environment, it makes me really calm and it brings me to a place of happiness. And I try to paint that, so I surround my life with that type of environment. This turtle painting is really inspired by the beautiful colors that you see when you're scuba diving underwater and you see all these amazing colors in the fish and in the coral, and just the reflection also when it's really sunny and that's shining through the water. Just all of those colors are so beautiful, and I kind of take that and I kind of bring it up a couple levels, and I try to make it even more vibrant because it gives it more of like a surreal, beautiful look that you see when you're underwater, but it's kind of elevated. It makes it more artistic. It makes you kind of look at it and want to go to the ocean, want to be inspired by that. The Palm Beaches really bring me a lot of inspiration with all the aquatic life, the outdoor wildlife. It's all so beautiful, and it brings a lot of inspiration to my artwork.